Okay, here we are, another live stream. Thank you guys. Oh, I've done that second time. I've got my Rumble feed up. Got the audio feeding into it. Welcome to another live stream. Thank you all so much for being here. I truly appreciate it. While some folks are coming online, hey, Stray Kitten, coming back again. Back for more. Welcome back. So I've got some interesting stuff that we're going to talk about before we get into the main topic of tonight, which is, oh boy, the Operation Midway Blitz, which is Donald Trump sending DHS and all this into the city of Chicago. Now, I've sat on some panels with folks in Chicago, and it's fascinating what's going on up there, which is why I'm interested in it, because there's huge swaths of people that are trying to turn Chicago red, which is an amazing thing. And I've had the opportunity to sit down with these folks on some live stream panels and talk about it. I think it's wonderful, but I think this is why Donald Trump is doing it. I think that's why he's picking Chicago, because Memphis is worse than Chicago. There's other places worse than Chicago. And by the way, before I keep going, if you're coming from the Devout American channel, I'm actually streaming to 2 YouTube channels tonight. If you're coming from the Devout American channel, do me a favor and hit me up in the comments. I would really appreciate it, because I'm doing a little bit of an algorithm test here when it comes to my YouTube channels. But let's go ahead and, hey, Janie, welcome back. This is just an interesting video. It's AI, and I've talked about AI quite a bit on this channel. I think it's fascinating. I use it all the time. I've become a little bit addicted to it. I prefer Grok over ChatGPT, but everybody's got their own flavor. Use what you want. But Grok has passed up ChatGPT in a lot of ways. This is AI. This lets us know that so much out there is fake. Check this out. We'll talk about it in a second. Oops.
Fictitious female alternative / indie singer, and a name for her.
Wow, Sadie Winters.
Sadie Winters, okay. The song is about walking away from someone who never really saw her worth. Just going to create the song lyrics.
Wait, how many seconds was that?
That was like about 4 seconds. Oh my God.
Did you even read any of these, or you don't care?
I don't care. Put my lyrics in.
The lyrics that happen in 4 seconds.
Yes, and then hit create. Let's listen.
This is the world premiere.
This is real time, by the way. I've done this. All AI.
Good singer. Ooh, that's nice. Pretty good.
Where are we, Rick? Where have we found ourselves?
It's pretty amazing, actually. I hate to say it. Here's my...
So I'm fascinated by this, because here this guy out of thin air created a song and created a whole persona, a whole personality around it. I've heard that there's artists out there actually doing it. I don't know. It's a shame if we start, if the music and all this stuff is being tweaked through AI. I'm not a huge fan of that, but oh, you don't like? Stray Kitten says I don't like it. I don't know. I mean, you can have it make any type of music that you want. I've had it do rock songs and country songs and all that. Suno, S-U-N-O, I think is the one he was using, and that's the one I've used. It's pretty wild. And one more funny one. Look, I will go ahead and tell you guys, some people worry about the language thing. I try to keep this show PG, but I didn't have time to bleep this video. So if you got kids, if there's kids in the room, for the people that are watching it later, make sure you earmuff your kids or mute your phone. But here, check this out. This is Don Lemon. And y'all remember Don Lemon. He had his show on CNN. He got booted because nobody was interested in hearing from Don Lemon. And he's tried to do this whole, he's reforming himself, I guess, would be the way to put it. He's rebranding himself. He's got his own YouTube show like everybody else. I think there's 800,000 people right now trying to do YouTube shows and trying to do podcasts. So Don Lemon is trying to get on board that, just like his buddy Cuomo. And he goes out and does these man on the street interviews as if he's, the regular Joe Schmo kind of guy. Listen to what this dude said to him in New York.
How you doing, sir? Good. Can we talk to you? Where are you from? You live in New York?
Who are you?
Don Lemon.
You're a fucking moron, dude.
Thank you. So are you.
Yeah, that's very nice of you to say. Except you've never heard anything I've had to say, and I've heard a whole bunch of what you've
I'm glad you watched me.
No, I don't.
Why?
But you just get clipped everywhere.
I know, but why don't you? You said you don't watch me, but yet you know who I am, and I get clipped.
Before I realized that CNN and MSNBC were full of shit, every once in a while I'd see
What do you watch?
talking. I watch all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, but why do you say CNN and MSNBC are full of shit?
Because they lie.
But about what? Be
Everything.
specific. What's everything?
Everything.
He tries so hard. He did this on, I think it was Coney Island. He went down to Coney Island and was asking people about Donald Trump, and all the people, this was before the election, and all the people were like, yeah, go Trump, Donald Trump, yeah, Trump's the man. And so he's trying, he thinks, this is the bubble, right? These people get into a bubble, and he thinks that everybody in the world thinks like he does. You know, the same kind of diluted frame of mind that you know, his mainstream media indoctrination has led to. And so he goes out, he makes a fool of himself, and I'm shocked that we actually get these clips. If I were, I mean, come on. Somebody comes out and makes you look like a fool. Are you really going to want to post that for the whole world to see? Hoy, it's crazy. Anyway, I thought it was funny. So, all right, let's go ahead and get to the main story, the main headline, and I've got a couple. We are going to talk about Operation Midway Blitz. We're going to talk about the stabbing that happened in Charlotte. I know I brought that up in the last show. We're going to discuss that one. And a couple other things. We'll get to them. But here we go. Operation Midway Blitz in Chicago. So, President Trump and Secretary Noem stand with the victims on illegal alien crime, while Pritzker, they stand with criminal illegal aliens. This is interesting. It's named, or it's being done in honor of Catherine Abraham and Chloe Polzin, a 20 and a 21-year-old from Deerfield, Illinois, who were killed in a drunk driving accident caused by an illegal immigrant. So DHS is launching Operation Midway Blitz in honor of Katie Abram, who was killed in a drunk driving incident. Let's see. This ICE operation will target the criminal illegal aliens who flocked to Chicago and Illinois because they knew Governor Pritzker and his sanctuary policies would protect them and allow them to roam free on American streets. President Trump and Secretary Noem stand with the victims of illegal alien crime, while Governor Pritzker stands with criminal illegal aliens. This is, and of course, there's some testimony in here from families and you know, all that. But I've heard from folks in those areas. The crime is absolutely rampant, and there are some videos, some additional videos to follow this up. I think that let me make sure I've got the right one here. Yeah, okay. Well, before I go to that one. In response to this one, Chicago's Mexican Independence Day events are nixed because of this. Meaning, Mexican Independence Day and all these folks are going to pop up at the event. Undoubtedly, ICE is going to show up. ICE showed up at, what was the event that happened? Oh golly, it's been over a month ago. I think. Oh, I know what it was. It was a Gavin Newsom event. And at that Gavin Newsom event, they showed up, and he was talking about some board or something. I don't remember what it was. And ICE agents showed up and they detained at least one guy. I think it might have been a couple, but they detained at least one person at a Gavin Newsom event. So if they're going to have Mexican Independence Day, we know a lot of folks came from Mexico. A whole lot of folks came from Mexico, and they say, well, we better play it safe. Let's see this. Okay, I'm getting quite a few comments here. Okay, this is from who's another wonderful secret. You're a new viewer. Welcome aboard. I don't know what you're saying. Let's see here. The Wall Street Journal just published Trump's. Oh gosh. Okay, here we go. Wall Street Journal. Here, I'll show you an interesting take on this one. Let's show this clip here. Where is it? Well, you know what? I'm not going to skip ahead. I'm not going to let you get me off track. Anyway, so they're ramping up. ICE, DHS, all that is ramping up inside of Chicago. And Chicago, a lot of Chicago residents, this is what they've been asking for. But there are some folks who have been pushing back. I didn't grab the video clip, but there were armed gang members who were on their cars out in front of police stations, brandishing their weapons kind of as a threat to say, hey, I think it was police stations, or maybe it was a detention facility. But they were brandishing their weapons, kind of saying, hey, if you come here, if the National Guard comes here to deal with this crime problem, this is what you're going to have to deal with. I've seen a couple of videos of people that are, they're basically warning Donald Trump, hey, don't show up here because there's hundreds of thousands of gang members that you could be coming across all across Illinois. But he's doing it anyway. This is the first step. I think the National Guard will probably be the next phase of all of this. And this is enforcement. This is federal enforcement, and he's allowed to do this. I've seen people debating, well, is it legal for him to send in the National Guard? And, it puts us in kind of a precarious situation. If my understanding is he's legally allowed to do this to enforce the law, we can get into the arguments about the Insurrection Act and all that. But when states are abdicating their responsibilities of protecting their citizens, the president does have a right to do this. I'm sure that it's all going to get hashed out in courts too, because we know that the left is going to file lawsuits. That seems to be the only action they ever take when it comes to someone who's trying to enforce the laws and keep Americans safe. But nonetheless, it's going to happen. And people really freaked out about this when he posted the, let's see, let me pull this up here. Here we go. Governor J.B. Pritzker posted this one, and he was furious about it because Trump posted, I love the smell of deportations in the morning. Chicago, about to find out why it's called the Department of War. And it was obviously a troll. So Donald Trump is trolling this guy, and they bit the bullet, or they bit it. They took it hook, line, and sinker. They were like, yeah, okay. Oh gosh. All right, let's see. I'm going to get to some of these comments because let's see. It's another clear. Oh gosh. Okay. You can contribute. Another wonderful secret. You can contribute, but all of this nonsense about the Epstein stuff, if you're just going to come in here and troll about all that, it's not what we're talking about. I mean, you're post what you want, but good gracious, come on in and contribute. How about that? I could show you the lawyer. In fact, I had that video. I've played it a couple of times. The lawyer who was investigating all of the victims of Epstein, saying that Donald Trump was the only one who gave them any credible evidence to go after folks and to help make the conviction of Jeffrey Epstein. But I guess you don't want to hear about that one. Let's get back on topic. I'm not going to let this derail me. So if you want to know why people want these illegal immigrants gone, I think you guys know. You probably support this. But this is kind of an update on what happened in Aurora, Colorado with the Tren de Aragua gangs. Remember when the Tren de Aragua gangs came in and took over in the apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado? This is the aftermath of those apartments. This is what they look like. They came in here, they absolutely ransacked them. They destroyed them. And yeah, look, if you come here and you're not assimilated, you're getting money thrown into your pocket. You come here with the same culture, the same, violent nature that you had in your previous country. You're not asked to assimilate into the United States. There's no accountability. There's no responsibility for you. Why would you care if you wreck an apartment complex? It's not yours. And, you'll see the video here in a second. Let me see if I got the volume on this one.
Boarded up. It's gated off, and it's the police cameras are all over the place, and with no trespassing signs just littering the property. So it's been condemned now, finally. But why did it take so long? What was the final nail or the final straw that finally got the city to do something about this?
Well, what happened, Nick, and remember, I wasn't there, but what happened was that Danielle Jurinsky, the councilwoman, she took action. And when she realized that the hires, and this is not the street-level cops. The street-level cops are real good people. They want to get in there. They want to protect the citizens. But the administration, at the command of, the mayor and the other people in the city council, have stopped this from happening. And so that's why this property was condemned. Now, the reason it was condemned is because she brought it to light, and she brought the media in, and she gave it appearance that everything was bad. And then, of course, the greatest president in the history of America, Donald J. Trump, came in, and he heard about this, and he said, hey, wait a minute, what's going on here? Let's fix this. And she came and spoke at a rally in Aurora, and she blew the top off the thing. And then the word was out to the world. And we know the leftist socialist media, they wouldn't cover it. They don't want to, there's nothing to see here. But here's the thing that people don't realize. Somebody owns that building. And that building was condemned because law enforcement was not allowed to do the job that they need to do anymore in America.
And I think that's the strongest point around all of this. This is people's property, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, life, liberty, and property. When you own something and the federal government or the state government or the city, the police, they won't come in and enforce the law, and you start losing your property, you lose your investments because of the negligence of somebody else. I mean, that in and of itself is a problem. And this happens with the squatters in California, these ridiculous squatter laws. This all plays into the immigration problem. And this is the thing Donald Trump ran on. Not the thing, but one of the major things that he's run on. Now, we also know that with this, all this border crisis, we've got let's see. Here we go. The seizure of drugs. So I don't know if you remember this or not, but aside from shutting down the borders and preventing people from coming across, when we prevent the people from coming across, we can slow down the drugs that are coming across, and they have been nabbing massive amounts of drugs coming across the border. This was 20 kilograms of fentanyl that they recently captured, and this is a part of Trump, which he started a while back, but talking about declaring the cartels a terrorist organization. And when you declare them as a terrorist organization, you open up some freedoms for the president to start taking the fight to them. We'll see how that turns out. But listen to this.
War. This enemy, they don't wear a uniform. They're moving fentanyl by the truckload.
I want you to look at the contraband that's in front of me. We have 20 kilograms of fentanyl that's in front of me on this table. That's enough to kill 10 million people. The work that we do is to protect people and make sure that we remove these weapons and drugs off of our streets and hold those criminals accountable who would go forward and continue to use that to harm individuals.
Cartels are now officially in the Pentagon's crosshairs. And it's not just the wall anymore. Trump ordered the kill shot. The days of local drug busts and random motels, they were fun, but that's Breaking Bad stuff. Trump wants to take the fight to El Chapo's front yard.
We're talking about sending military forces to fight against the drug cartels in Latin America. Do you think it's worth sending our forces, our U.S. forces there to take this on?
Cartels where?
Central Latin America.
Well, Latin America's got a lot of cartels. They've got a lot of drugs flowing. So, we want to protect our country. We have to protect our country. We haven't been doing it for 4 years. And we love this country like they love their countries. We have to protect our country. So, we're playing a tough game.
Do you guys think he should? I think that obviously it has to be worked out with Mexico. It has to be worked out wherever a drone strike happens, if that's the way that he decides to go about it. But I think it benefits everybody. Now, I guess the danger, this is what I wrestle around with this one. The danger is getting into a massive conflict, another drug war, or another war, basically with the cartels, which is a multi-billion-dollar operation. I mean, they can be listed on the NASDAQ. They're huge. They're very well armed. They're in very difficult terrain. I think if anything is going to be done, it would be drone strikes and things of that nature. Trump would be the guy to do it, but he's going to have to negotiate it with Mexico. Do I think that they would? I mean, they're bought and paid for by these cartels as well. So, or not as well, but they are bought and paid for by the cartels. It all kind of runs together. I think that attacking it here in America, which is what he's trying to do, a lot of people complain that he's not doing it fast enough, and at times I agree. You could deport thousands, tens of thousands of people. We have millions that have to be, ousted from our country. And he's focused on the criminals first. This is what they're doing in, an Operation Midway Blitz. But he's been doing this in other places across the country. Focus on the criminals. Focus on the ones that we can actually track. And when you find one, which is the criminal, they're usually surrounded by more. So it's kind of a multiplier. You find one guy and then you happen to deport 20 others, which is a good thing and that's acceptable. But this recruiting that they started doing for CBP, for ICE, they were offering big bonuses. They have to up the manpower because it's been depleted for a very long time. It's been underfunded for a very long time. And I always have to remind people, we are only 8 months into this and things can continue to ramp up. We also have to consider the midterms next year. If we lose the midterms, it's going to be problematic, obviously, for us because they'll do whatever they can. If we end up losing in the midterms and we see a shift, they're going to do whatever they can to try to block the guy. So it's an uphill fight, and he's doing as much as I think he's doing as much as he can right now for this issue. Again, I'll be the first to admit that he does a lot of things wrong. But with this, I'm good. And I love the trolls, you know. I have to show it again. It's totally worth it. I'm totally down with it. I love the smell of deportations in the morning. I love that movie. Did you guys ever watch Apocalypse Now? Oh my goodness. It's pretty graphic, but it was good. It was one of my favorites. Oh gosh. Okay. So the next topic we're going to talk about is, okay, I talked about the girl that was stabbed. She was a Ukrainian immigrant. She was stabbed on a subway, or not a subway, but on public transit, because theirs is all above ground, in Charlotte, North Carolina. And would you believe that somebody attempted to start a GoFundMe for the guy who stabbed the girl? Now, good job, GoFundMe, for pulling this down. But the fact somebody thought this is the profiteering, I guess people have a tendency when it's an instance like this to try to profiteer off one side or the other. And to think that there would be sympathy for the guy who just cold-blooded murder of a young girl who simply sat down on a subway in front of him is unthinkable to me. But let's see. The GoFundMe said that it removed multiple fundraising campaigns created on behalf of DeCarlos Brown Jr., the ex-convict accused of stabbing and killing Ukrainian refugee Iryna Zarutska. Sorry, I don't speak Ukrainian. GoFundMe's terms of service explicitly prohibit fundraisers for the legal defense of anyone formerly charged with a violent crime. Consistent with the longstanding policy, all fundraisers for DeCarlos Brown Jr.'s legal defense have been removed from the platform, and any donors have been fully refunded. I don't understand I guess you could just chalk it up to opportunism, but I think that's fairly evil to say, well, here, this guy murdered this girl, and we're going to try to stand up for him. And not to mention, the mainstream media around all of this, this is what gets me almost more than anything, is on the left, you'll see the guy who did this. On the right, do you all remember Daniel Penny? Daniel Penny was the one who popped in there and saved some people from a deranged guy on a subway, and he had his life completely turned upside down. And you could look at by the way, Liz Wheeler pulled up the numbers just for the New York Times. This is the number of times that they mentioned George Floyd. At the top, 5,897 mentions in the New York Times. Trayvon Martin, 1,190. Kilmar Abrejo Garcia, which is the illegal immigrant who Trump deported, that he got 56 mentions. Daniel Penny got 100, and this young girl got 0. Thankfully, CBS, at the very least CBS, so at least a few 100,000 people saw it. They came out and finally did a news report on it. And it was lukewarm at best, but at least they did something so that people know about it.
Refugee in this country, 23-year-old Iryna Zarutska, was killed last month in Charlotte, North Carolina, on the light rail there in what officials are calling a random attack. New surveillance video shows exactly what happened. We're not going to show you the moment of the stabbing, but a warning, this footage is still disturbing. Skylar Henry reports.
It's just before 10 p.m. on August 22nd, and 34-year-old DeCarlos Brown Jr. is seated on a Charlotte light rail train. Several other people are around him. According to officials, a few minutes later, the train doors open, and 23-year-old Iryna Zarutska gets on and takes a seat in front of Brown. She's wearing what appears to be a work uniform, AirPods, and looking at her phone. But then, the unthinkable happens. You see Brown pull out what officials say was a pocket knife. He unfolds it, then stands up behind Zarutska. What we aren't showing you is the moment where Brown then stabs Zarutska several times and walks away. Here you can see Brown trying to get off the train, and then a few people
look at the
spring
floor,
into action.
by the way. Look at the floor. I mean, who would say, "Oh, let's start a GoFundMe for this guy"? Seriously? Is that where we've moved as a society, that's what we need to be supporting? Oh, that poor fella. That poor fella.
To save Zarutska, she would die from her injuries. Meanwhile, Brown, who has removed his hoodie, waits for the train to stop. And then you see him exit.
Officials say it appears that Brown and Zarutska did not know each other.
So here's the look. This is a similar circumstance to the Philadelphia subway. It wasn't a subway. I think it was a bus, where a man in front of people who pulled out their phones and recorded it attacked a young woman, and he brutally essayed her, and people taped it. This guy just got through stabbing a young girl, and he's allowed to walk off. He's able to walk off the train. I think some people wound up chasing him down, but nonetheless, I think it's a warning to women in particular, but men as well. It could happen to anybody. They'll stab anyone. Understand your blind spots. If you see where she was sitting, that's you sit down and you don't really think about it. It's not something you're expecting, but that guy's in a blind spot. Find some way to sit. I would go to the back if I was going to go anywhere, or I would be towards the front. I mean, you got to check your blind spots. You got to know who's around you and what's around you. I'm not blaming her. She didn't know. She was looking at her cell phone. She just got off work. She's trying to head home. And this deranged guy, there's a video out there, by the way, of him saying, "Oh, I got that white girl." It's messed up. It's a scary world. And he's not an immigrant. It doesn't tie into the immigration thing. But this happens a lot with immigrants, the attacks on immigrants. I've watched countless videos, none of which I'm showing tonight. But in the UK, it's here in the United States as well. But in the UK, they're coming up to young girls in particular, harassing them, beating them, hitting them, whatever they have to do. They're assaulting. I've played a couple of them on this channel before. The dangers are escalating. The illegal immigrant problem is there. That's a danger, obviously, but it's danger from within. There's this weird, string of violence that's going on in our society. I think some of it comes from, I don't know if it comes from social media, but it's because of our reclusive lifestyles. We're not interacting with people, and the people that we are interacting with are, it's frightening. It's frightening for, I have some young people in my family, and I worry about the world that they're going to be growing up in. So hopefully Donald Trump and hopefully whoever the next person is can keep, running this to ground. And I hope that the people, like I was talking about in Chicago, that I've been interacting with online in these panels, I'm hoping they're able to make some progress on their end to try and make these bigger cities safe, because that's really where the problem is. In my state, it's Memphis. Memphis is an absolute hellscape, and I think the last time I looked, it had topped the charts for the most violent city in the country, and it's in a red state. I mean, it's a blue city. It's at the far west, and some of us don't necessarily claim Memphis, although it's like living in a different world. So anyway, I think too that there's culture shift that needs to happen. Not just this is a nationwide thing that needs to happen, and little things like this, I believe, help with that. It's not going to fix it. But this is something Donald Trump is pushing for, to have prayer back in school. Kids that, you got to think of it this way. This is the way I look at prayer in school. People say, "Oh, we shouldn't be doing that. It's freedom of religion. It's like you're forcing somebody to do it." No, we're not forcing someone to do it. But if you say a prayer in school and you say something to God, this could be giving exposure to a young person who has no other positive influence in their life. And if for nothing else, they understand that there's something greater than them, there's something above them, it gives you a more spiritual connection. And there is no downside to it. There's no downside to it other than someone who is militant against religion or against God. They may have an issue with it, but you don't have to partake. This is the thing they offer. If you want to, you can step outside. That's the way it used to be when I was growing up. So kudos to him for at least doing this. And he says, let's read a little bit of this. President Donald Trump announced that the Department of Education will issue guidance that will protect the right of prayer in public schools. The president made the comments while he was speaking at the Museum of the Bible, where he addressed the White House Religious Liberty Commission. The commission was formed after Trump took office to secure religious liberty around the United States as well as the world. And some people, the one, I think if this is the one that the lady that heads it, not sure I'm totally on board with her, but here, let's listen to this real quick.
For most of our country's history, the Bible was found in every classroom in the nation. Yet in many schools today, students are instead indoctrinated with anti-religious propaganda, and some are even punished for their religious beliefs, and very, very strongly punished. It's ridiculous. Joining us this morning is Hannah Allen from Honey Grove, Texas. A few years ago, Hannah organized a group of her classmates to pray for an injured peer. The school principal declared that Hannah's generous act of love was prohibited from taking place in front of the other students. Didn't like it. The principal didn't like it. Can you imagine? But Hannah very strongly stood her ground, and she won. And Hannah, I just want to thank you for letting the light of your faith shine for all of those to see. We really appreciate it. And where is Hannah? Is Hannah here someplace? I think so. Hannah, stand up, please. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Hannah. I know what you went through. I know what you went through. It's great. Appreciate it. To support students like Hannah, I'm pleased to announce this morning that the Department of Education will soon issue new guidance protecting the right to prayer in our public schools, and it's total protection.
You know, kind of like I was saying before, this is you got to take God. If you want to have an authoritarian government, if you want to have an oppressive government, the first thing you need to do, one of the first things, is you need to remove God. There can't be any authority above the government. That's how socialism has to work. That's how, those types of authoritarianism have to work. And when they started doing that, I knew, everybody knew, people in the Christian community, in the Christian world, they said, this is not going to end well. There's no upside to this. When you say, well, you can no longer pray in schools, cut it out, all of it. And then what happens? They start taking God out of the Pledge of Allegiance, and they start taking the Pledge of Allegiance out of schools. You can't have, it's shameful is really what it is. It's a shame. And if a school wants to do it, fine. If a school doesn't want to do it, I don't have an issue with it. But I think that, test beds for socialism, test beds for, the government being the ultimate authority in your life as opposed to something higher, they come from it starts in cities like New York. And this is what's happening in the city of New York. Here's Mamdani. We got to talk about Mamdani. I've got a couple of clips on him. Here we go.
From policies, just to kind of get your thinking out there. If city council legislation to abolish the NYPD gang database were to pass, would you support and sign that?
I have supported that proposal. It's one that I've supported because of the vast dragnet has meant the inclusion of New Yorkers on the basis of whether they go out late, photos they put on social media, so much of the facts of life of being a young New Yorker. And yet it then becomes a mark of suspicion. And it is a concern of mine that we do not live up to, of all people, Eric Adams's words in 2021, who said that New Yorkers need not choose between safety and justice. Mm-hmm. There's no question that we have to take gangs extremely seriously. And yet I find that a database that includes New Yorkers on such bases is one that doesn't actually do exactly that.
And what happens when a socialist comes in? They create a scenario where you feel unsafe and saying, well, we've got this gang database. Let's just delete it. It's not right to label gang members as gang members. And, what is he going to focus on? He's going to take your money. He's going to jack up your taxes and start a new, he says he's starting a new Department of Community Safety. So, tax increases, that's obviously going to go with socialist policies, whether it's in the city or it's in the state or it's in the country. Increase in taxes. You got to take more people's money so you can divvy it out to other folks. But this is it. This is the test bed. It's not just there. I mean, there've been people that have towed the line on socialism, in other cities across the country. But New York is where they're going. It's full bore socialist. It's a Bernie Sanders socialist. Boy, it's a shame. It's a shame. Sorry, I'm bouncing around quite a bit tonight. All right. Let's see. Yeah, it makes Stray Kitten said it makes gang members feel unsafe. That's exactly what it's doing. Making gang members feel unsafe. Oh gosh. Got to show compassion for gang members. Ugh. Okay. The last thing that I think I'm going to talk about tonight, because I'm well past the 30-minute mark. Let's go to this one. I was shocked when this got posted. And I actually have to be careful about what I say here because I made a post years ago, not years ago, it was maybe a year ago. And it was about this topic. And since then, my channel viewership has been wildly throttled, but it's already being throttled. So I'm going to go ahead and show it anyway. But look at what Donald Trump posted. I'm going to play the video. Let's see if I get banned.
Show them the thimerosal bomb, which we keep in a metal container because we're a little afraid of it, and it's a very fine powder.
This is thimerosal, which is labeled very toxic, has cumulative effects, can cause damage to the kidneys, to the respiratory system, skin, to the nervous system. Specifically warns on here that it can cause reproductive and developmental toxicity, meaning that it can cause things like autism and other neurodevelopmental disorders. This is immensely toxic stuff.
And it's in vaccine.
And this is what's in the vaccine. It's important to realize we're talking about a whole range of products. Vaccines are a big one because, of course, you're directly injecting it. For example, this is tetanus vaccine. This one expires, it's a little outdated now, in 2007. Here's the thimerosal. 1 to 10,000 is a preservative. Perhaps the biggest one in the U.S., at least, that's for exposure to mercury is the influenza vaccine. Influenza vaccine is now recommended for all pregnant women, all infants, all children on a yearly basis. You're supposed to
have last year's influenza? Understand that thimerosal is not added at the end. It's not like, well, that factory next year can make thimerosal free. Thimerosal, you either have to have a thimerosal free factory or you have to not have one. They add thimerosal at each step because the factory is not clean and not sterile. So you either have to have an expensive sterile factory where you don't need thimerosal, or you have to have one that produces thimerosal. It's going to need thimerosal or something the whole time. It needs to be stopped.
This is the influenza vaccine from Adventist Pasteur, their flu zone. Thimerosal, 25 micrograms of mercury per dose.
But I'd like to point out that a lot of people didn't know, and I'm one of them. I've given 2,000 RhoGAM shots. I've been in vaccines for 35 years. I didn't know that RhoGAM had thimerosal in it. So I think a lot of the doctors were unaware. They were unaware that even the word thimerosal meant mercury.
This is wild. I was shocked that he posted this. He was Operation Warp Speed. That was his baby. That was his thing that he rode that even through the election. And people were whooping and hollering about it. There's other names of doctors, and I really hate that I can't say it because I'm on YouTube. If I wasn't on YouTube, I would probably say it, but you can find it on X. There's doctors out there who have done massive amounts of research on this and the toxicity that is involved in the current schedule, which has been, I think it's been tripled in the past 10, 15 years. So the number that people are getting in there, like before they turn 21, is somewhere around 80. They get 80, Again, I have to, sorry for my censorship, but I have to play by YouTube rules. And so he posted that. The Operation Warp Speed guy posted that one. I guess Robert, RFK Jr. has been in his ears, but we're also seeing a shift in, actually, before I go to that one, let me go to this one. This is the guy. I'm going to play it. I'm not going to say his name, and I won't give much commentary, but you need to hear it. Here we go.
And do you have any science to back up your opinion?
The best data are autopsies. So in the largest autopsy series published to date, I know because I'm the senior author, of all the deaths we examined, and we re-reviewed them. We had an adjudication committee. We had ways of arbitration deciding on did the vaccine cause death. The answer is, of these cases that came in for autopsy after vaccination, 73.9% of individuals, it was determined that the vaccine was the cause of death. First author is Holscher and colleagues. He's sitting right behind me.
This is the guy. If you see his picture, he's been one of the biggest. He's done most of the research that goes against the jab, and he has a whole stable of other doctors who have come alongside him to do research, and his information is fascinating. He's was on a lot of podcasts, but they were shutting him down. I think a lot of his social media has been shut down. It's the whole censorship machine. They'll let you see some things, but most things they don't want you to see because of the amount of money that goes into this. The average patient the average doctor is going to get somewhere between $600 and $700 per patient for, when you take them in one time, $600 or $700 per patient. So when you see a waiting room full of youngsters, they're making a boatload of money off of it. And they reserve the right, as always, to change their mind. When they want to mandate it, you're right, Stray Kitten, that Trump did not mandate these things. He was wildly for it. He was whooping and hollering about it because he got it pushed through so fast. But at the same time, he didn't mandate it. The mandates were where most people had the problem. But the things that they were shutting down on social media, saying, no, you can't do that, don't say this, listen to this here.
We learned this morning that the FDA is now saying that it's okay to take ivermectin if you have COVID. I mean, Senator, I remember talking with you repeatedly during COVID about your upset that they were trying to cancel you because you were talking to doctors to try to find out the right ways to treat COVID without having to get too many boosters and COVID shots. My COVID was gone in a day when I took ivermectin. And now, 3 years later, the FDA says, oh, yeah, that's fine. Take ivermectin. What?
Well, they make you take something, then reserve the right to, change their mind. It's never about giving you options. All right. Well, I thought it was fascinating that Trump actually came out and said, hey, all these things are poison. It's a bold move on his part. I'm sure some people are going to have issues with it because, like I say, he was a big proponent of it. But here we are. All right, guys, those are the headlines for today. Thank you all so much for sticking with me. Let me get to some comments here. Let's see. Your sarcastic comment was deleted. I'm not a problem. I didn't delete it. Stray Kitten, if you had a sarcastic comment, it's no issue with me. Let's see. Oh, yeah. the troll that we had in here earlier, I'm going to assume that person dropped off. But, oh, gosh, they were, an appeals court upheld his sexual, it wasn't a sexual abuse thing. It was, well, I guess it was. But the E. Jean Carroll, I don't know if anybody saw the E. Jean Carroll interview that she did after this was upheld. She went on some podcast and they were talking about how she did it and how they dressed her. She had the makeup artist from 1996, I guess when all this stuff was supposed to have gone down, had the makeup artist that came in, the haircut, or the hairstylist came in to do her hair in the same bob that she had. She used a dress that she had bought in 1994. All this was curated for the jury before she ever went into court. And in her own terms, this is what she said she was trying to do. She said, I had to look effable, is what she said. That was the way she approached it. That woman is an absolute psychopath. She is, she is off her rocker. Just go ahead and Google the interview with her, or the interview that Anderson Cooper did with her while all this stuff was going down. CNN had her on. Go look at the interview that she did. She is an absolute nutcase. And Donald Trump never knew who she was. Come on. Let's see. What's another comment we got in here? Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Boy, that troll went crazy in the comment section. Very interesting. I get them all the time. I'll tell you, the one that really gets people amped up is if you start talking the whole Israel conflict, all that stuff. Boy, the trolls come out in droves on that one, but we're not talking about any of that stuff tonight. It's pretty wild. Okay. Thank you guys for being here. I truly appreciate it. If you're new here and you enjoyed the content, please hit the subscribe button, the like button, and the notification bell. That way you're notified every time a new video is released. And if you were on the Devout American channel, if you don't mind, leave a comment and let me know. Because I again, like I say, I was running basically a test on my Devout American YouTube channel and the Continue Freedom channel just to see what exposure was like. The problem I've been having with YouTube is I get really good, like my click-through rates are good and I get, you know, decent impressions, and then all of a sudden it just stops. And so I'm testing it out on a separate channel. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Love y'all. God bless you. God bless America. And I will see you in the next video.